Hey guys, Neomis here. Now for today's video, it's time to talk about Arsenal transfer news. But before I get into the Arsenal transfer news, I just quickly want to put a little sign now. I just want to thanks everyone for all the recent comments, and thank to all the new subscribers that have been subscribing to the channel. And do hit the subscribe button if you haven't subscribed. And thank you for all the recent comments and likes as well. But we gotta get into some big news because it's been a few days since the last time I talked about transfer news, and Arsenal have been linked with several players. First of all, today, literally half an hour ago, Arsenal have been linked with Adama Traore. And I had to talk about this because he's one of the players that I talked about pretty recently that Arsenal should be going after, along with the likes of Saint-Maximin. But I criticised him mainly because of several things. One, he doesn't score enough goals. And this is a fact. Like, he's not getting double-digit goals. He's not getting a lot of assists. But the good thing about Adama Traore is that he is a pain to deal with if you're a defender. We saw how much Rob Holding struggled with going up against Adama Traore when Arsenal faced him this past season. We've seen in previous seasons as well. Tierney always having problems with Adama Traore, and you could see why. I mean, I've got a Dolphins hat on. I mean, Adama Traore is built like an NFL running back. He's got speed, strength, ability, and the fact that he's able to play football. I mean, he's definitely a freak of nature. You don't see more like him when it comes to football. Like, he reminds me, well, maybe not exactly like, but different from your standard type of footballer is Adebayo Akinfenwa, who kind of is the king of lower league football. You know, real just brick house. A lot of teams just not used to be able to deal with him. And that's kind of Adama Traore in the Premier League. That's how I compare those two. But I will say this, if Arsenal did go in for Adama Traore, it would give us something different. I mean, right now, on that right side, you can either have like Pepe, and I know sometimes Saka could play on the right, but you know, predominantly I view Saka as a left-sided player. But if you got Pepe on the right, who comes in as an inside forward, Adama Traore on that right is more of a winger. So a lot of times he's crossing the ball in, and he has a particular style in which he crosses the ball in. He has more of those kind of float acrosses. And I mean, come on, if you're an Arsenal fan, you watch like Wolves play, especially when we play against them, you know, you would see the way how he plays. And there's a lot to go in there. You know, he would cause teams a lot of problems. He'd help create Arsenal a lot of chances on that right side, which is the reason why I do think that Arsenal should seriously go in a bid for him. So, I mean, according to Mark Bruss, this is caught offside, the former Barcelona attacker is likely to move on this summer. When I was talking about Ruben Neves a few weeks back now, and you can go check out that video on my channel, I talked about the likes of Ruben Neves and Adama Traore being some of the players that were linked away from Wolves because they had to sell due to the current performance, and then the whole COVID-19 stuff, which has affected lots of teams. So they're going to have to sell some of their assets, and Adama Traore, like Ruben Neves, is one of them. It's said that Wolves are looking for offers around 35 million for him, and said that basically he's ready to pack his bags to leave the club. The worst part about this rumor is the clubs that are also interested in him as well. One being Chelsea, which is a problem. You could see why Chelsea are interested in him. And even though his weaknesses are goals, when Chelsea have all these goal scorers in their sides, they don't need their wingers to score. And that's why probably Traore might be a better fit for Chelsea. But I would love to have him at Arsenal. I just think he provides something different there on that right. Even though I do think that we need more goals. That's one thing. And maybe with the right type of coach, he can be able to coach into being a little bit more clinical. So that's where it's at Mikel Arteta. Like, are you going to coach the likes of Adama Traore to be a better player? I don't know. I don't know. He's still relatively young, 24, 25 years old. So, there is an opportunity for him to kind of really develop. And even if, let's say, for instance, you bring him and sign him on a 4 or 5 year deal, you could maybe even sell him like 3 years down the line and sell him for like a considerable amount of money. So, I mean, he's still got some kind of decent sell on value. Probably not the 35 mil that Wolves are looking for. We could sell him then. But we could be able to sell him and get some type of money from him. But good player, Premier League proven, so it's not a bad shout. And then the other team that we got to worry about is Leeds, who were rumored to be interested in Adama Traore. I think this was last week sometime. And this is why I know this, is because I've been looking at Traore as being a player that Arsenal should consider, along with like Saint-Maximin at Newcastle, in that they give you something different. They cause defenders problems. They cause defenders to think and potentially make mistakes. And mistakes leads to penalties, which then are awarded to Arsenal. And it means that other players like Aubameyang, like Lacazette, like Pepe could go on and take those penalties and put them away and get Arsenal the wins that we duly deserve. The same thing what Wolves have done against us. That's what Traore then will bring you. So it's going to be a tough one. I mean, they're saying here that Arsenal are also looking at some other players. The Porto star, Jesus Corona. But I didn't really want to talk about him. Like, I don't know much about the guy, but I prefer Traore. But if you disagree with me, definitely leave a comment below. But it is said that he's there to kind of really replace Willian in the side, which makes completely sense. But you would have to think, if Chelsea did get him, who could then maybe we could get from Chelsea? You got Ziyech that's there, got Pulisic, you got Hudson-Odoi. Maybe that's the route. Maybe if Chelsea get Traore, Arsenal have their homegrown quotas pretty low. Maybe we go after like a Hudson-Odoi or something, someone that's still pretty young, lots of potential. I know he hasn't quite met up to that potential. He hasn't shown that he's the player that I think everybody thought he would be, but still a decent player. Or Pulisic, I mean, he was an absolute baller. And then Ziyech, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, Arsenal should have signed Ziyech from Ajax instead of going for Pepe, but yeah. Another one of those gripes made by the mistakes of the previous regime that unfortunately now that we are left to suffer as fans. But leave your comments below on that. And finally, William Saliba. So about 16 hours ago, yesterday basically, William Saliba, in my opinion, I think his time is done. I really do. The talks are that Benfica are interested in William Saliba on taking him out on loan, not a permanent transfer. But you can believe, as the kind of time goes on, there will probably be some type of talks for William Saliba to go out on loan with like an option or obligation to buy, because I am shocked to see this be the situation here right now. No, and I'm being absolutely serious. What I expected was that William Saliba would have come back to Arsenal. He probably would have challenged for a place. I don't think he would have gotten like in the starting 11, but he would have been part of the squad. You know, we would have had 4 centre backs, and he would have been part of that. I thought maybe someone like Pablo Mari might have been one to be sold. Maybe Mavropanos to be sold. But to see that this is the situation, I'm quite disappointed. Because even though I know the argument, I frequently go on 101 Arsenal, is that, well, if he was good enough, then they'd play him. But I don't trust the process. I do not trust Edu and Arteta to make a logical decision. Because I really do think that William Saliba's comments earlier on this season, his actions earlier on this season, particularly towards Arteta, his comments and how his time at Arsenal has been, I think that put him into hot water, and I think that he has given Arsenal a reason to say goodbye. Particularly when you look at some of the actions that Mikel Arteta has done. We are looking at the likes of Guendouzi and Torreira. You know, if he don't like you, you're done. Look at Maitland-Niles. Like, he is virtually done. And I'm looking at this Saliba situation. I'm like, that's it. That is absolutely it. Like, even though it isn't a permanent transfer, and Benfica are just like, I'll even pull it up right now. So right now, according to Todo Viajes, this is written by Jamie Wilkinson from Court Offside. William Saliba impressed out on loan, but Arsenal are looking to kind of loan him out. Benfica are interested in a loan and are currently in negotiations with Arsenal, which is pretty surprising because Mikel Arteta said that he's an Arsenal player. He's going to come back and then we'll decide on squad roles. So I don't know if that means that Arteta has already decided, like, you're not going to be part of the squads, which I refuse. I refuse to believe that William Saliba is not good enough to be in the Arsenal squad. Like, maybe you could say he's not good enough to start. I could believe that. But to not be on the bench, to not be part of 4 options at centre-back, get out of here. Absolutely ridiculous. I refuse to believe that. It's clearly said that Benfica are interested, and even though there isn't a lot option to buy, it's a loan. But I wouldn't be surprised to hear a loan. Is this good for Arsenal? Well, in the short term it is, because it means that, you know, we'll probably get some type of loan fee. And if there is like any options to buy, there will be some type of financial reward for that as well in the kind of semi-long term. But if you want me to believe that Saliba has no talent and that we were completely duped, like, I don't believe that. I really don't. Like, when the reports are coming out of Nice that, you know, he was voted was it Young Player of the Month like 3 times. The guy's good enough to be on Arsenal's bench at the very least. Like, come on. Like, even if like his partner, who went to a centre back partner before he came to Arsenal, went to Leicester. Like, you can make an argument to say Saliba was the less talented of the two, or the less developed. But he's been on loan now for 1 season. He's had a good opportunity. You have to play him. And the only reason why I could think why this has turned out to be like this is because it could be possible that the reason for this is because Arsenal's homegrown quota is so low, and because they've mismanaged the long-term planning of everything, that they're just trying to get as many foreign players out as much as possible. They're just like, oh, if you're foreign and you're not in the starting 11, like, we need you gone. Like, you need to go. Because if that's the case, then I could kind of understand it. But it just shows the level of bad planning by the front office. Like, if that is legitimately the reason, and that could be an actual viable option. Like, you look at the players that Arsenal are interested in. Like, one that I didn't talk about yesterday was John Joe Kenny being linked to Arsenal, and Everton right back / centre back. We obviously know the stories on Ben White, English, Aaron Ramsdale, English, James Maddison, English. So there quite clearly is a direction to look at English players. And that's probably because players like Maitland-Niles, players like Hector Bellerin, who count as homegrown, they're going to be gone, and we need to find a way to replace them and to replenish our stock. So I hope that that's the reason, and more so not. But long term, I think Arsenal are making a mistake with William Saliba. I think maybe they should have looked to kind of maybe sell on the likes of Mari. But hey, that's just my opinion. So leave your thoughts and opinions below on that. I'm really interested to kind of get a discussion going in regards to this. Do you think it's right for Arsenal to loan out William Saliba, potentially sell him long term? And then what do you think of everything in regards to Adama Traore? I think he's a quality player, but I do know that there are lots of people out there that don't rate him. So leave your comments out there. Continue to like and subscribe to the channel. It does help the channel out, and I will see you all next time.